I'm so excited about this. I'm going to tell everybody really quickly who you are, and then you can tell them who you are. This is my coach from JAI. She is also the director of education, yes, at JAI. But I just wanted to say personally that she has been such a gift to me, and you all will see today just her presence and her energy. This woman doesn't even have to say anything, and you are a calming tool in your in your own, Rebecca. But we've had so many amazing experiences within the coaching. And so I'm really excited to just share some of that today with my community. And I just want to give you space to let them know anything about you that you want to share.
Oh, thank you. I'm so happy to be here. This is my first Instagram live, so I'm enjoying it. Am I frozen?
No, you're not frozen. Can everybody,
Oh,
I believe they can hear you now. Yeah, you were frozen for like a second. You're good now.
okay. So, my name is Rebecca Lyddon, and yes, I am the Director of Education at the JAI Institute for Parenting, and I am AKA the mad scientist in my yurt, writing curriculum, researching, and creating a community that is centered around personal growth within the parenting journey. And it is such an honor to be in this calling in life. And yeah, I have a almost 9-year-old daughter. Her name is Ania, and I have an almost 5-year-old son. His name is Heron. And I am unsure what to say now. I'm so happy to be here.
You've said all the things. You've
Yeah,
said all the
yeah.
things. You are so wonderful. I'm so glad that you are here. And I'm so glad that I just randomly and serendipitously found JAI. And before that, I understood what parent-centric parenting was, but I do know that a lot of my community is not very familiar with that. And so I know that JAI has kind of coined the phrase empowered parenting. And so if you could you just let my community know, what does it mean to be an empowered parent?
Yeah, there's so many definitions, and what I love most about our community at JAI and the work that we're offering is there is so much space for you to self-identify within this paradigm. And also, how I'd like to language this is we are on this continuum of power at all times in every relationship that we are in. We are either in a more dominating or a more submissive role, and
Mm-hmm.
that's very conscious or unconscious. With the empowered parenting paradigm, it is this intention and devotion to be in power with. So it's essentially
Yeah.
being in dependency, being in community, and being in equality, equity with our young people.
Yes, I love that so much. And I think that it's really evident in the program. So much of it is, it's not you should do this and you have to do that. Is very much excavating those pieces of yourself as a parent that feel aligned and that feel intentional. And so I really, really found that in the 10 pillars. And that's introduced very early in the program, and it is rooted all throughout the program. So what I wanted to do today with my community is kind of share what those 10 pillars of empowered parenting are, and then just ask some questions about it so that we can start a dialogue about them.
Ah, there's so many of them. There's 10, and I'm hoping that we
Yeah.
can get because I could have an hour-long speech for every one of these. So these 10 pillars, I was just speaking with a colleague yesterday because I am an artist first and foremost in my human. I am in continuous quest in everything that I do. I'm always checking in and seeing, does this still feel right for me? Is this still representative of what I'm being called toward and what I'm evolving into? And so my hope is that these pillars resonate with those of you listening today. And also, again, take what does resonate and scrap the rest and add your own.
Mm-hmm.
So this is play. We get to play and create a map that works for us. So the word map essentially is the essence of this invitation, the 10 pillars of empowered parenting. And we begin with, I'm trained as a Waldorf teacher, so we have the head, the hands, and the heart. We have this trinity going on, this holistic approach. So we start with the head of empowered parenting, and the first pillar is informed and aware. This is where a lot of our students and our clients feel quite safe, not always though, because we do have students coming in who have had really, really painful educational experiences in classrooms. It really hurts. So learning the information tends to be the safest place for our students, that they can read a book, they can ingest the science, and that can allow those of you on the continuum here that's just beginning this excavation process, as you said, Destiny, or this deconditioning process of power over or power undering within intimacy. Starting at the head gives people kind of opens the doorway. And I'm obsessed with research and science. And
yes,
so
you are.
yes, I am. And so I'm always clawing for what's next. I was just talking to some other colleagues about what's next. We just got this nervous system science. We got this somatic intelligence. We have, the ability to have this heart intelligence and then to speak it. I'm like, where are we going now? I'll let you know. And would you like me to pause after all of these pillars, or shall I keep going?
No. You can keep going. Yeah. So the first one is informed and aware. And just a summary of that is kind of being intentional about educating yourself on development and brain science. Even I have found that even just like a basic understanding already can start to shift the dynamic and the paradigm between parent and child, because there's just more compassion when there's understanding. And so that's the first one. What's the second one?
Also,
when yes, absolutely.
Okay, so number 2 is intentional and reflective. So I have a joke that's not a joke, which is 5% of conscious, peaceful, intentional, responsive parenting, however you want to name it, happens in reflection and intention. When you're on the mat, so to speak, like, who knows what's going to happen? Like, we really hope for the best when we're in it. And so much of our growth happens in our willingness to intend and to reflect on and even grieve the day or praise the day, to be in that both and space. Yeah.
That is such I hope that's a relief to parents. I hope that that's a relief because I know for me personally, I am parenting with a lot of trauma and a lot of baggage and a lot of things that, reprogramming my own brain and making new connections for myself. And so learning that piece of reflection and coming back has given me not necessarily let me off the hook, but I've seen so much power in being able to come back and reflect on my own behaviors and become more self-aware, and bringing my child into that. And I think that sometimes is missing in traditional parenting spaces.
I think this is what really sets this next level of parenting. I'm not even sure how to communicate that in a way that feels right in this moment, of just having it be parent-centric, and we step into accountability and sovereignty in our responsibility as the elder within the parent-child dyad without crumbling under the burden or the responsibility of it, especially those of us with intergenerational trauma and neurodiversity, chronic illness, fill in the blanks, although parents, keep going. So yeah, we could keep talking about that, but I'll go to number 3, which is a devotion to imperfection. That's amazing. I love it. A devotion to imperfectly showing up, even if you're showing up like, I got nothing, I'm empty, I'm screaming mom right now, like, you guys, you better run. Or showing up like, I'm feeling so resourced right now, and I'm so happy, it feels so good, and then everything in between, of course. But what if we didn't have to hide from our children?
Yes. And the conversation, I think we might have went through this in the coursework, but I think that there was a phrase that you might have used that was like that you can like tell your children your capacity and what you have available. And that's something that I have utilized that's been so helpful, because I grew up in a space where my mom was like, she was Superwoman and she was always on. And as I got older, I was like, that clearly was not the case. That was not the case. And imagining how much she was caring, but also how much more ease certain moments could have had if she just had the freedom to be able to say, I had a really hard day today. This is what I can do. This is what I can't do. I wish she had the space to say, I wish she had you, Rebecca.
I wish I had me.
Right? I know. And when people say that to me, I say the same exact thing.
Yeah. How those of us raised in a power over dynamic of not just like the tools of overpowering, like threats or manipulations or punishments or beatings or control or humiliation, whatever, fill in that blank, but also those of us were raised in a home where the parent had been ingrained to power over their own capacity, like you're saying, power over their own voice, to power over their own feelings and needs. So that for me feels quite revolutionary in my blood, where again, the hiding piece is a huge theme of my lifetime and many of my clients' lifetimes, of just being able to speak truthfully.
That's really good. That's a really, really good connection.
Mm-hmm. Okay, number 4 is all feelings are valid and welcome, which sounds really hunky-dory on paper, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yep.
The end. So we meet ourselves where we're at in that. And of course, this is the parent-centric process. So my willingness to, in my rage, and my willingness to fall on the floor in my grief, and my willingness to, in my shame and my disgust, is my capacity to hold that and even be like, yeah, baby, like go there, it, ride it, and then it will end. And so many of us have so much pain and suffering and trauma in our body. So this is, we take a very somatic body approach to this. Feelings are valid and welcome. Mm-hmm. There is a way. So I'll stop there.
That's I really want to talk about what that like looks like in the moment, because we hear that a lot, like all feelings are valid, all feelings are welcome, but it's so much more than just, well, yeah, you can be angry right now. Like, what is actually happening to you and in your body when one of your children is angry or upset or raging? What does that actually look like to model that your feelings are welcome?
There are an infinite amount of ways to model depending on that specific intimacy with that specific child. So with each of my children, different how I'm embodying it and modeling it. However, the philosophy remains, which is I see all emotional waves as giving birth. I'm just kind of obsessed with having babies. So I see waves that they're right, the surges, the contractions. I see it as that. I have a very strong visual of that. And I even see how every wave that they're going into is strengthening them. So as I don't mean to be too sensational here, but as a ceremony, and not all the dang time, please. However, I do try to intend and reflect on it in that regard. Okay, so keeping that metaphor rolling, when it is happening, I think about giving birth to my second child, and I was in the tub and my husband was holding me and he was looking into my eyes and he was smiling. And I could tell that he was kind of holding the contraction with me and like carrying some of the burden. And when I see my children swept up in their rage, their grief, stuck in their whiny state, attacking me or each other,
right?
Yeah, coming at me. So I know that you're asking me a very practical question, and I'm going like,
no, this is so good. This is so good.
And so I will see it as I'll see it as a color, like anger is red. I'll see the red, and I'm breathing, let's say, white into their red, and I'm imagining myself even taking on some of that energy, and I will do the calming sensory tool. I
Yeah.
sing, dance, I growl, I get down low on the ground, I shake, and I can't expect my child for me to say, we talked about your sensory calming tool, dude. Like, use it. You know what to do in this moment, which I do say sometimes. And I really try to be the elder in that dyad,
Yeah.
and I really try to be the facilitator of that wave. Practically speaking, I don't speak. I try to keep it completely nonverbal. I have two neurodiverse kids. I'm a neurodiverse adult, and so language is very difficult for all of us in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Go outside, honestly, 100% of the time. It's like we need to get out. So find your medicine and use it in that moment.
Yeah.
And quest that a coach helps with.
I think that that's so helpful that you kind of made that distinction. I know we talked about that before about the confusion between like what co-regulation actually is, and it's so much of it still is, it's still regulation. A lot of times it is still regulation for us, and I think that that was a really big revelation for me, because I know that with my oldest, literally it is me doing it for her until she's able to lean into it, and sometimes she doesn't even do the calming tool, you know. Sometimes it's just I know that physical touch is very big for her, so she will not be accessible to anything, but if I put my hand on her back and rub her back, she's physically calming. And I think that sometimes we can use the calming tools as a like a means to an end, to be able to rationalize or to be able to get them to do the thing. And it's really like you said, no, it's a ceremony for them to be able to experience calm, and that's it. And if we're pushing against it in a way that's not working, then we're literally doing the opposite of what is intended. And so I have gotten that because I did used to use it as a tool to be able to, all right, you're calm now, let's go do the thing. Right, exactly. So I love that. And I have a completely different understanding of what co-regulation is because of Jai and because the way that you express it and teach it. So I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. It's beautiful. It's so hard. And
It's
it's
so
beautiful.
hard. I love that you say that. You tell us that it's hard because
Yeah. I'm partnered, so I'm privileged in that regard where I have a wing person to support me. But, I tell this to my students. I'm very transparent, as you know by now about me. I'll lay in his arms at night and I'll like say, this is crazy. Why are we doing this? Why are we parenting? This is totally insane. We're dying. And
there's
he's
so
like,
many easier ways.
we got this.
I
So
love that for you, and I love that you have that. That's what Jai and the container are for me, for sure, and all of the people that I've met in Jai, because I'm like, are y'all still doing this? Like, this still makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, we're never gonna finish this, Destiny. We gotta keep going.
Okay, what's number 5?
Okay, number 5 is attuned and empathetic. So this is kind of just like keeping the ball rolling in the heart center here of attunement and empathy. And these are two phenomenons that are also very misunderstood, misconstrued, and misembodied. And no
Mm-hmm.
judgment. It's just a process of us all learning it. And what really does attunement mean? I'm looking over here at my dulcimer and I'm imagining tuning it. I'm imagining entering into its tune and not trying to tune, but really trying to find the center of it. Who are you? Who are you in this moment? Not who do I want you to be and have you attune to me and my desire and my need, but who are you? And I see that very similarly to my children, where I'm tuning into who they are in this moment and I am feeling it in my body. And then I'll bring it up into the head, into a very cerebral investigation, like what's going on with them, what happened in their day, have they eaten, do they need da 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 da. And again, back to informed and aware, that gives us this feeling, this sensation, and this energetic understanding of where our children are at, where we can access more safety, understanding, compassion, capacity, etc.
Etc. Yes. I love that Jai goes over like what empathy is not. And
Yeah.
I think that there is a lot of misconception around it. And even though things like compassion and coaching and advice are not necessarily, they're not negative things and there's such a space for them, I think when we start with empathy, there's so much more acceptance on our child's part often, but also I think that it calms us and it grounds us to be able to make sure that whatever tool we choose to use following is actually in alignment and it's not fear based and reactive and all of those things. So I love the example that you gave because it really is, let me enter into your world. Because if I'm over here trying to help or support you, I'm probably missing so many things emotionally, mentally, like you said, within the environment. And I think that for me, empathy just, it like opens the curiosity for me. And I feel like, yes, okay, like what do we need? What do we need? What are we doing? And it's not the fixing. I have that fixing. I came into this space as a fixer. And the empathy piece was like when I saw that slide or whatever it was like, this is an empathy, this is an empathy. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's not. All of these things are me trying to change this moment instead of just grounding. And that was like light bulb, life changing.
And I want to comment on what you just said, how you came into this program as a fixer. And I love that about you. I think you have a brilliant mind and you're innovative and you're creative and you have a strength of problem solving. So, what I also cherish about this space is that we are strength based, where you come in here
Mm-hmm.
and I'm this way. And I'm like, I love that. Do that.
Yes.
Let's see what else there is. Let's
Yeah.
get even.
It's a very, very holistic. I love that about Jai. And I am able to, I think, use that in a more effective way. And it's not, like I said, it's not fear based. We had a conversation about like my daughter's anger before, and a lot of it was rooted in I need to fix the anger. And we still get to find solutions for the things that are triggering her and for her anger, but being able to regulate and find empathy first. I feel like it is a superpower now, and it doesn't feel like it's working against us. Yeah. She would say stuff. She would say things like, I'm just trying to talk to you. Like, I don't even want to talk to you anymore because you're just trying to tell me how you feel or what you think. It's like, yeah, I get it. Thank you, little voice, for being a big voice.
Yeah. Oh, we have like 3 minutes left.
I know.
Should we do a part two?
Yes, no, please. Oh my gosh, please, we need to do a part two. I'm so grateful for this. And I'm so glad that this got to be your first live. This was so
Oh,
beautiful. I think we should end maybe just with what Jai means to you
mm.
and what it means to be a parent to you.
So now I get to cry. Okay, so we got through the first 5 pillars, and we'll do a take 2 someday.
Yes.
And I means to me is a reclamation of community. I have memories in my cells of parenting, surrounded by mothers and fathers and aunties and uncles and grandparents and cousins, and we're all looking into each other's eye when a child is melting down and raging, and we're like, we got this. We're good. We're all good. We're all on in the same wavelength, and we can all see each other with honor and integrity and beauty and artistry. And that's what my intention is every time I get to a call. It's like, you guys want to remember together and get back there? Like, let's do this. So I have a personal calling and drive to centrally support all of us to remember the original ways of raising children well. How do we treat our young people as sacred beings who are teachers? who have the messages for the evolution of our species. So like I go hard, you know, I don't like mess around and have small talk about this.
Yes.
And parent means to me is so much joy and mm, I think really for me, I'm going to go back to the hiding, birthing these people and having for the first time probably in my life people looking into me and wanting to know everything. They just want to see the full mama. And so it's been such a, I'll say, spiritual experience of unconditional love and acceptance. My children's love has truly healed me in so many ways. So, but parenting for me,
Mm,
how do I give back? Yeah.
I love that. I love that so much.
Mm-hmm.
And I love you. And I'm so, so, so grateful that you did this and that I'm doing Jai all over again.
All
You
over
had
again.
yes, you had a lot to do with that. So I appreciate you so much. This was amazing. You are amazing. You are a gift. And you are one of my sensory calming tools. So thank you.
No
Thank you
problem.
so much, Rebecca. Thank you. And I hope that you have a blessed evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.